Welcome to Week in Horror.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The only podcast that will feed your horror need.
The need to feed.
With JL.
Yeah, I'm a fucking masochist. I'll watch that shit.
Eugene.
Somebody has to be the sex symbol, I'm sorry.
Alex.
Shit, I just demonetized this forever.
And Johnny O.
How do you like that shit? Got halfway through the monologue before unmuting myself. Golly, it's one of them fucking days.
With industry guests.
Hi, this is Richard Oakes, Director of Host.
Hey, this is Adam Leader, Director of Host.
This is Matthew Mark Hunter.
I'm Don Ellie.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And this is Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
News, trivia, and more.
One by one, we will take you.
Join our live show Wednesdays at 7 Central, youtube.com/weekinhorror, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Week in Horror. Stay scared. All right. Welcome back, horror fans. It's Wednesday, just a hair past 7 p.m. Central Time, and that means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast that never drinks wine. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, don't forget you can join us here for our live show on our YouTube channel, so you too can interact directly with the live chat, flex that horror knowledge, and maybe even win some trivia prizes. This week, we are covering select films released in horror history, November 7th through November 13th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am JL, and with me tonight are Eugene and Johnny O.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Johnny, you're hiding your face. What are you doing?
Well, I just came from the OPT memorial, so I don't know if I want to be on camera today.
Yes.
Fuck cancer.
Yes, cancer absolutely sucks. Hashtag fuck cancer. What Johnny's referring to, for those not in the know, is that a very much loved member of the YouTube community recently lost his fight with cancer. He passed away, I think, yesterday, or was it?
It was early this morning. I think
early this morning.
Yeah,
early this morning, and he went by OPT lawyer, is what I knew him as, and. From what I understand, I did not have the fortune of knowing him all that well, but from the outpouring of support and love, he was a great guy, and the community is less for it. So it's such a shame, but definitely fuck cancer on that. It blows.
Fuck cancer.
But what we will do is hopefully, as they say, the show must go on. So we will continue to create. And we will remember him and the things that he taught us, and the joy that he brought to his community, to the community that we are all a part of. And we will keep pushing and going and creating content for all of you guys out there as long as we can. So while we are at it, let's see who is in the live chat. I see a lot of people are just coming from the OPT memorial, which was a pretty awesome thing. I think it was set up by Schrodinger's cat.
Yep.
Yeah. So our
Tina
good friend
was there,
Schrodinger,
and Radsko, all the good folk were there.
Yeah, our good friend Schrodinger set up a very cool memorial for OPT, so everybody can remember him by, and let's see that people come over here. So we'll try and bring some laughter. I know everybody's feeling kind of down, so hopefully we can kind of fill that space and kind of lift spirits a little bit. Lift spirits, that's what we do here at Week in Horror. So we got Surf in the house. Good to see you, Surf. All right. Oh, and by the way, I need to fire this up. I always forget that. Bam. Yes, that is our Patreon banner for all those amazing patrons who help us keep the show running. And Surf is one of those patrons, and he was first in chat. And hello, Surf. Good to see you. Travis Brown. Good to see you as well. I do appreciate y'all coming out. Beaver C. Good to see you. Wrote no last name. Gabba back to you. Bleh, I can't speak tonight. Good to see you, and yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. Hashtag fuck cancer, definitely. And who else we got? I saw some other names. Commander Darklight is in the house, another one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much for coming on out. And scrolling, because there's so much chat. Beaver C. I did say Beaver C said hello. And Little Dickens, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming. Oh, and there's Glober Mom. Good to see you, hon. I'm so glad you're y'all are doing okay. And Ryan and Nance, good to see you. And NANA, another one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much. All right, I think, and oh, there he is. Sarcasm's in the house, and Cindy Johnson. Good to see y'all so much. So yes, in OPT's honor, and I know it is a tragic shame, but we will try to lift some spirits tonight. Get some laughs, and maybe have some fun here at Week in Horror, and just kind of like fill the void as we'll do our part to fill that void. It's a real bummer. But we will remember him, and we will continue pushing on. So, before we kick into this episode, we had a couple of big things. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the upcoming holidays, because obviously we're past Halloween. Finally, we can talk about the holidays. We don't like talking about them until after Halloween, but here we are.
Halloween is included in the holidays.
Oh, is included in the holidays? I always consider Halloween kind of like unique to itself. It's the special. It's special. It's like it's up there, and then everything else is just the holidays kind of around it.
You have like Halloween, then everything else is just kind of lumped in, and then you got some like family shit you got to do.
Yeah, Halloween is up here. Fucking Christmas, Thanksgiving, you just lump that shit in with the 4th of July and fucking President's Day, man. It's all the same, all on the same level to me. It's always about Halloween. There is currently 300 and what is it? 360 days or 340 something days until Halloween. That's what it's about at this point. Oh, but am I roboting or
no? I think it's just my connection.
Oh, okay. So just make sure that I'm not. Oh, Travis Brown rocking says he got his ticket in room for next year's Frightmare. Badass. It's going to be an
nice. We'll be there.
We will be there. I do not know if we will have a booth this year, just because it was so close and so tight because September to April. Typically, there's like a year's difference. Like you go September to September, April to April. But I know he's trying to get back on track and do it in the spring. So it's going to be in April this year, but like the last weekend of April into May. So I don't know if we're going to be able to have a booth, but we will be out there. You will catch Week in Horror out there at Texas Frightmare Weekend. All right, that's right, Beaver C. Halloween is the only holiday. The rest are just appetizers. Damn straight.
Yep.
Oh, Sarah Velez, good to see you. Thank you so much for popping in. All right.
I don't know about you fuckers, but I have fun during Christmas time with the kids. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I have fun thinking about all the things I'm going to be doing on Halloween next year.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. You're square. We get it.
No, I'm focused. That's what we call it.
I'm squares.
I'm a fan of Halloween. No,
I love Halloween. You know this. You know Halloween is my. It's literally the only time where I get to work my bullshit retail job and put horror films on.
It's the only time you get to shed your human skin and be the Sasquatch you were meant to be.
Exactly. Wait a minute.
I admit nothing. Okay, so there's a couple of big changes that came along to our Patreon. A few quality of life changes that I wanted to clue everybody into, because not everybody may be aware of them. But I do.
It's the $5 tier that gets the reach around now?
I don't even know how to fucking respond to that. Angie, good to see you. She says, "Hey, you beautiful."
How you respond to that?
And she says, "Hey, you beautiful, scary motherfuckers." And it is so good to see you, Angie. Thank you for coming out. Travis Brown says, "Getting ready for the Poultrygeist for Thanksgiving." Fucking hey, we have just the best Thanksgiving horror films. But some big changes that came to our Patreon. So we still have the $1 tier, the $1 Fanatic tier for everybody. If that's as much as you're able to support. For the $3 Slasher tier, what we've done is we have now moved After Dark early access to be included in the Slasher tier. So for the $3 Slasher tier, you get early access to both Bloodbath and the After Dark. So what does that mean? That we added to the $6 tier, the Possessed tier. What do they get? And what they get, along with the $10 tier above it, is special guest access to be judges for our Bloodbath debates. and we will bring you in to have you a part of the show. Now, we did this kind of as a surprise thing on our last Bloodbath, and we had Kyrie and Alien X came in and were guest judges for the last Bloodbath, and it was fucking amazing. The dynamic changed, the entire judging process. We loved having the patrons in, helping us out with the judging, and it put more opinions and more ideas in there, and it was just a lot of fun. So we're going to continue doing that. So we're going to offer that to our patrons for the Possessed tier and up and the Mastermind tier, which is the $10 tier. $10 tier. They're going to have access every month to come on and be guest judges for our Bloodbath debates. And we also dropped the big $25 tier. I dropped it because I felt it wasn't offering it wasn't offering equal value. It wasn't worth it. And it was just kind of there as kind of like and I was like, you know what, this is pointless. I don't even want it anymore. So I just got rid of it. So we dropped the 25. We only go up to 10 now. And we increased the opportunities for the what the $3 tier gets, and we added in, come on, be a part of the show. Come in and guest judge our debates. Mm-hmm. We turned it into a big thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So check those out if you want to, and of course, if you are a patron, those are the upcoming changes. If you didn't see the newsletter that went out on November 1st,
we have a newsletter.
We do have a newsletter that goes out every month that I write.
It's fucking news to me.
Oh, there you go.
You mean like a newsletter?
So yep, that was some quality of life changes that we made to our patron. And
what's up, Grave Paradise?
Hey, Grave Paradise, good to see you. It's been a minute. Fantastic seeing her in the chat. All right, now, what are your holiday plans, guys? Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever for the winter. You guys plan on doing any traveling or
sleeping? Because that's what Sasquatches do. I mean, that's what I hear. No, I work retail. I don't get to travel. Only traveling I get to do is to and from fucking work.
This is true.
Happy holidays.
I don't know if I'll be traveling. I haven't decided yet. I mean, I have the option if I want to. Because I'm like awesome like that. So, but I don't know if I'm gonna go. I don't know if I'll go south or if I'll go east or if I'll go west. Because I got family west, I got family east, and I got family south. So I have no idea.
So he's gonna go north.
Or maybe everyone should just get off their asses and come here. Maybe that's what it is.
I think he's gonna go north.
Go north away.
Yep.
And what about you, Eugene?
Oh, working on projects. Just a bunch of shoots that are coming up. So there's no travel in my future except from either podcasts or film sets. That's my entire holidays right there.
He's gonna be eating craft services on fucking Thanksgiving.
Yes. Craft services on low budget indie stuff. So
Eugene,
pizza.
we're gonna have a giant bird. So you're more than welcome to come hang out.
Oh,
look there.
So I mean, I'm still gonna go. Both my parents live here, so I'll at least see them at least once during the holidays here and there and stuff. But
it'd be badass. Oh, go ahead.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's what I like to do. There's a lot of cool projects coming up that I feel fortunate to be a part of, so I'm happy about it.
So I know what would be badass. We grow the show. We grow the show to the size that we could have like the Week in Horror studio. Like the legit studio where we come in and we actually work and we do this. That would be badass. We have instead of like doing it from our home offices, we could decorate them like that. I already plan to decorate when we have this. I already plan to decorate one wall with nothing but Fangoria magazines. That's a plan. I'm going to do like the whole thing, like all Fangoria stuff. It's going to be sweet. It's going to look great for a background, but it'd be badass because we have the big space where we actually shoot the podcast. So we actually record everything. We could probably do some green screen work. It'd be a lot of fun. Do some other cool stuff. We could bring everybody to the studio, Week in Horror family, and have the Thanksgiving there. That would be badass.
And see, this is what I want to do. Like, we get everybody together and we can like live stream it, and then we watch the most gory, gross horror films possible to see whose stomach and maybe someone throws up.
Oh, we're so watching the thing we're so watching the Thanksgiving trilogy. And definitely poultry, guys. Definitely poultry, guys.
Yep,
Both
definitely
at the
poultry
same
guys.
time.
Good
All
job,
right, well-
Jared.
So yes, excellent. So we got plans for the holidays. We'll see how those play out. But every week we will still be coming at you with a new episode of Week in Horror. That the holidays don't stop us here. Much like Johnny's retail job, we don't quit. That's what we do. We keep churning them out, no matter how much Johnny complains, no matter how much Eugene bitches. I'm a fucking taskmaster, and I make this show.
Why is it we're the ones that bitch and complain? Yet when we go back and read the private chats, there's only one person bitching and complaining, and it's not Johnny and Eugene.
Well, Alex bitches a lot too. Alex bitches a lot too. You know why I fucking bitch. I bet these people are like, oh, I'll be there in 10 minutes, Turkish.
You know what? It must be nice to only have to take care of yourself and wipe your own ass.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, that's a pretty dress you got going on back there, JL. That's a real pretty dress you have in your closet back there.
Oh, Travis Brown says JL
Yeah,
is the Marvel's Taskmaster from Black Widow. It's because it's my wife's wedding dress until it gets moved.
It's your wedding dress. I got it. It's cool. I said it was cool. Nice.
Rodin Olsen says Thanksgiving
Liza
cannibal
Minnelli?
feast. Yes.
Yeah, we don't kink shame. We don't.
We don't kink shame here.
That's for the cannibals.
So I'm gonna need you to get all the way up off my back about it.
About what? I said it was a nice dress, Ryan. You big bitch.
Please don't sue me, Ryan George. I love Ryan George. He is literally carrying Screen Rant upon his shoulders. So it is a lovely dress. I'm gonna need you to get up all the way off my back about it. All right, so
we are doing movies.
We got fucking movies to talk about.
Here good ones. It's like 3 weeks in a row of good movies. What are you doing?
I know
you're fucking it up. Everybody's gonna be like, man, there's some great movies, and they're gonna watch like next week, and it's gonna be some stupid bullshit that nobody's gonna fucking like.
Exactly.
No, okay. I have a confession I have to make.
Uh-oh.
Okay. When I started making the horror movie database, when I started compiling the database, and I'm adding to it every day, and now we're like 4 and 5 movies deep on every day of the week. But before that, as I was doing this, I realized if we tore through all of the good movies in 1 year, then all the ones we have left to talk about are all going to be shit.
Well, okay,
so I had to find a way.
Some shit movies because you've done 3 solid weeks.
Well, no, because we've already gone through the shit movies. We're in season 3 now. We've been through the shit movies. All we have left are the good ones.
We have not talked about Birdemic.
I've got it. It hasn't come out yet, but
it has.
No. It hasn't come out in our schedule yet.
Okay.
I haven't. So what I'm saying is, I think we've got enough left for at least 2 years of content.
Oh shit, we're fucked.
I think we can make. I'm pretty sure my math is right. If a few episodes we do like a single episode where we talk about one like we did with American Horror Story.
Yeah.
If we're able to do that a couple of times a year, then we can make it. We can make it to season 5. But after season 5, if we haven't blown up into something much larger, we're going to be in real trouble.
Hey, welcome back to Week in Horror, episode 1700, season 1442. And we're talking about Dracula Has Risen, Magic P2, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. Wait a minute, you guys did that in season 3 and season 7 and season 12.
We're hoping the audience doesn't know.
Just recycling the same 3 years over and over and over again.
We got to do a 5-year cycle. That's what we do.
So yeah, we can make it to. I think we can make it through a season 5. But getting into season 6, we're gonna have real problems if we haven't really.
No, there are enough movies. If you really go ahead.
You have to like dig into the trench. The real like. Listen, we need people to submit movies for us to talk about.
By season 6, we will have almost exhausted the foreign library. So I'm talking Chinese, Japanese, Korean. Yeah, there's not a ton.
No,
not entitled like
stop
no,
it,
not
because we're
entitled.
talking about 5
No,
movies.
because
Hang on a second. 5 movies times 52. It's only 260 films a year.
And we only talk about 4 a week.
Okay, so 4 times 52. That's only, again, that's just over 200.
Yeah, and we've done. Remember, we started off with 5 movies a week.
Okay.
And then we realized that was way too much.
Slow down, pump the brakes.
We started off with 5 and absolutely no fucking structure whatsoever to the show.
Wait, so now we just back down to 4 with absolutely no fucking structure to the show.
Okay. See, by the time you hit season 6, we're going to be doing 2 movies in episodes.
We're going to be doing the A side of a movie and then the B side the week later.
We're going to talk about a really good movie and then poultry guys.
Hey, that's a good one.
NA, we have not covered the Sharknado films, not yet. There's also a 23 film, or 23 or 24, I think it's 24 film franchise that we have not even touched on yet, because we haven't touched on all of them in the Amityville franchise. The Amityville franchise has so many in it. We haven't touched on all of them, and I was going to exhaust the Amityville franchise before we touch on the Witchcraft franchise.
And don't forget about the Puppet Master series.
And we've hit a couple of the Puppet Masters.
Yeah, a couple, but we still have like 15 more.
Yeah, we still have to do all that. We still have to do all those, but we haven't even touched on the Witchcraft franchise. There's like 24 films this thing, and they are all fucking exploitative bullshit. Yeah. They are such trash. It is tits, ass, violence, and magic, and that is all it is.
You have my attention.
Yes.
You had me at tits.
We're going to talk about this is kind of weird. This is a weird little segue with the kind of it just. You ever get lost in YouTube?
Oh yeah,
that's a stupid question. Of course,
yeah.
You ever get lost in YouTube? I got lost in YouTube working the stuff for this show, and somehow I got onto Kermit Surfs Omegle for baddies. And I don't know how the fuck this happened, but because YouTube is YouTube, so here we are watching Kermit the Frog fucking throw pickup lines at baddies on Omegle, and then halfway through his pickup line, he flashes a fucking cucumber.
A cucumber? He does a cucumber flash. He's like this. You want to see something?
Yeah.
Like the cucumber Eugene's fucking imagining it. Because he has that, because he does like the look around. You want to see something?
Yeah.
He's like cucumber pasta.
Yeah.
Oh, well, on that note,
you end up on funny stuff. I end up on like the dark side of YouTube. Like,
oh no, I end up on the dark side as well, but this is like the funny dark side of YouTube. Fucking Kermit the Frog.
I end up on fucking channels where the guy just sits there like drinking water. That's like all he does is like he's got like 1,500 like 10-second videos of him just drinking a glass of water. That's it. In various places all around, like at work, out in front of the house, at the kitchen, or whatever. It'll be like, click on. And that's the end of it. That's it. I have learned nothing. I have learned nothing but this man, nothing except for this man's endocrine system is on point.
I guess it. Think about it this way: you could, if it's only like 10 seconds of him drinking water, you could film an entire fucking year's worth in half a day.
And to just schedule them all out to drop. That's pretty much it. The guy has more subscribers than I do. He must be doing something right.
Exactly.
We're trying too hard.
We're trying way too hard.
Yeah. Maybe we should just do the weekend water sip.
Yeah.
So while we try to figure out how to work this whole algorithm thing before we run out of movies to talk about, Eugene, what do we have first tonight? Because I think people in the live chat are like, fucking focus.
Pickle Rick.
So I saw somebody when Rick and Morty's getting mentioned. Yeah, we need to do our jobs.
So on topic, focus.
Yes, focus. Scene.
The first movie we have today
Jesus Christ.
Lion face, R, lemon face, ooh, lion face, R, lemon face, ooh, break it down.
It's the first movie we have today. Is Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, released November 7th, 1968. It is directed by Freddie Francis and stars Christopher Lee, Rupert Davies, Veronica Carlson, and Barbara Ewing. And basically what ends up happening is they find a girl that is dead, and they blame Count Dracula for her death, and the town goes after him. But of course, he is Dracula, so he becomes extremely difficult to kill.
That's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, he's just
super understatement.
Yeah,
I like a little difficult. You have the scene where you have the giant stake going through his chest.
Fucking hell, Jesus Christ, yeah.
And he's just like pulls it out like a boss.
He's like, I'm Christopher Lee.
You came to the wrong castle.
The look on his face. I love how Christopher Lee plays, how he used to play to the camera. Back in those days, because in his older age, it was all just pretty much looking like Saruman all the time. Like, oh, I'm old.
Well, because he was old, and
because I'm old and I'm epic. But back in those days, man, that dude could mug like a motherfucker.
Well, so he was classically trained actor. He was a.
That's right. He would play big
theater.
Yeah.
So you had to do that. And that's one of the coolest things when you look about your early film, and that I would still classify even the late '60s as still early in film, even though we're 30 years into it at the time. But even back in the 60s, film wasn't what it is today. You still had a lot of people that did a lot more stage acting and were trained classically for stage acting. Because you got to think, Christopher Lee was what? He was in his 30s when he did this film, right? 32, 33, something like that.
I think he was in his late 30s.
Maybe it was his late. So we're talking about somebody who would have trained really in the late 40s, early 50s. It's still going to be more theatrical and going to have that, it's all about facial expression.
He was born in 22.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
40s.
So
he was in his 40s.
So there you go. Yeah, he was in his 40s. So we're talking about somebody who was still trained, as an actor for stage acting, and it's going to bring a lot of that to film. Like I said, that early stages of film, like when you look at Nosferatu and look how overacted everything is, exactly. You know what I mean?
Or the Orlok, the facial just like the
right. All of that stuff that is just overdone because again, you're used to doing this for people who are sitting, rows and rows and rows away who may not be able to see the subtle nuances of your facial expressions. And Christopher Lee, for me, was always that guy that kind of bridged that gap between stage acting and film acting when it comes to the way he projected himself, the way his facial expressions, his body movements, all of that stuff. His acting style seemed to me to bridge that gap between the two styles. It's what made his performances so cool.
Because I agree with that because it's like it's easy to go too far and to go cheesy, and you can watch some of the old silent movies and saying it can kind of come off as cheesy, but Christopher Lee never does. It comes out like just the right amount where you get that extra facial expressions that probably not a lot of actors, even at that time, were brave enough to go that hard into a moment. But he never crossed the line. That's a fine line to dance, and he was able to.
And real quick, there's another thing I liked about Dracula Has Risen is that it still play like the music that plays along with it still has that silent film era music score. It's very much a part of, it's in your face. It's telling you how it's telling you a part of the story. You know what I mean? Whereas now your everyday soundtracks are still important, mind you, but this one had that, that piano style. It was if there was still a pianist in the room playing along the film while you're watching the film, which, again, that's something little things like that are what I dig about this film in particular and those Hammer horror style films.
And that was a big thing. I mean, I honestly think the work that Christopher Lee did was essentially set the standard for what we would expect from Hammer horror. Like there is an aesthetic to Hammer horror that I think he set the bar. And so we would get these in their other versions of monsters and in the other horror films that they would produce. They produced so many over the 60s and the 70s that it was almost like everyone needed to live up to that standard of Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Vincent Price, and many of the females, many of the ladies of Hammer horror, of which, if I just want to make sure I remember, Barbara Ewing, Veronica Carlson were of that trope, and they essentially, I mean, there is an aesthetic that they brought to it. I think you're right. It comes from stage training, from classical stage training, but also, and I want to bring it in here that someone mentioned that it was Chris Durham Music Channel said, and good to see you, Chris Durham, says, and movie directors from the era would have actually been more used to working with stage actors.
Right.
And they were, because that's the school essentially that people would come from when they were breaking into the industry. You said you would tap, there was no like film school. You came up in either stage production or you came up in vaudeville. And so there were these types of performances that people went out and did. And so you would tap those areas to come, and your studios would tap these areas because everyone was doing theater. Not everybody was doing movies at the time. And because of the way studios handled their actors, you had to go out and you had to headhunt and discover people. And that's it. Or you had to know somebody who knew somebody. And so you start bringing people in, and of course, you're going to tap your local theaters, tap your local, especially the international circuit as well. Everybody coming over from England, everyone's classically trained over there. So yeah, and I love it created this kind of perfect, how to put it into words. Hammer is unique in that, and I think
it really is. And I like one thing I was thinking about, because someone's talking about when they're talking about like working with stage actors, and one of the things I started thinking about was like, imagine the films that they grew up on, because if you have Christopher Lee born in like 1921, he's going to grow up watching the original films from the 1930s.
He grew up with the Universal horror, yeah.
All those. So obviously, growing up with that is going to influence his performance. It's going to influence, because the directors, they're going to be fans of movies also. So you have this kind of ode going back to what they grew up on, except it's just technology has changed.
Right.
Yeah, and for horror films, it seems like Hammer horror specifically, they really, like, if you look at horror film cinematography today, every bit of it is influenced by Hammer horror film. All of it, right? Because they really wanted to play with camera angles and uncomfortable looks. Whereas when you look at the films of the 20s, 30s, and even into the 40s, and probably wasn't even until the mid 50s where cinematographers started looking at different camera angles and different links and different movements and different ways to position actors and whatnot. Because if you look at Nosferatu and there are a couple of angle changes, but for most part, everything's like, you're looking at it as if you're watching a stage performance.
Yeah, you got the single, like essentially a single wide. The dynamic shots weren't really a thing. Well, because the camera designs back then were so
right.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. So they were limited by what the tools they had, and everybody was just used to looking at, you're watching a stage play. Of course, you're watching it. You see the whole thing, and that's kind of just how it is.
Imagine putting F.W. Murnau in like Coppola's set.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like, what the shit?
There's so many shots.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's the shot list. Funk.
Yeah.
What
the fuck is this?
And who's handling this? And they point up at the castle. That man right there, Francis Ford Coppola. 200, 300. Jesus, Ben, I said I'm busy. Gary, I said I'm busy. I'm very, very busy.
Yeah, but what I was saying is that that's another aspect about the Hammer horror films that I love, is the fact that they were willing to take risks when it came to cinematography and trying to get the uncomfortable angles, or just different, making it different enough that it kind of really put their stamp. There's a reason why I remember these films.
You know, and you mentioned like taking risks of that nature because people hadn't seen stuff to this extreme when these things started hitting underground theaters and everybody started getting a name for themselves. And I think that owes itself to the professionalism of the people that they were hiring. Because you have got, I mean, you say you look at the performance of Christopher Lee in this, in any of the horror films that he was in. You know, his big eyes, his big flourishes, it's like that, the blood and everything. And Peter Cushing and Vincent Price and other actors came late. I would always remember those top three. These were consummate professionals, and I'm talking like especially someone like Peter Cushing, who is regarded as one of those professional individuals. And at the time that he was working through it, pretty much throughout his career, he was never big. He was always on point. He was always on time. He was always off book. He knew everything, and he was always willing to accommodate other actors and work with the people. He was soft spoken. But then the performances he turns into some things like this, it takes someone of that level of professionalism to handle these things. So I think we got very, very lucky in them casting not just very, very talented people, but people who were willing to do that, realizing that this is part of the game. It's very much like the Shakespearean actor, when all of these guys are classically trained in Shakespeare, and the Shakespearean actor who is willing to put on the silly suit and be something goofy, because that's essentially a part of what acting is. And I would have loved to have seen any of them on stage just to see what they could, really sell to a theater. Would have been really awesome. Something that stands out about this particular one, about Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, is that this movie was very atypical for Hammer horror. And when going back and watching it, I was kind of shocked that the intro, that opening, really strong, and the closing. So really, really good moments. Bookending, not a lot of typical Hammer stuff. The energy the energy of this one was different. It was very focused. I think it was very focused on character development and story and style. And I like the choices that were being made from a director standpoint, from a cinematography standpoint. They were slightly different, and it kind of injected a new kind of atmosphere into Hammer until the fifth one came along. They went right back to doing what they love to do, and what classic Hammer is known for. But this one was an interesting standout that I think kind of elevates it a little bit in the echelon.
I mean, we've talked about on the show all the time, taking risk and being able to push boundaries here and there. And it's so easy to follow the formula. But then what happens is you follow the formula, you can get a successful film, but it just gets lumped in with everything else. Versus let's spend a little bit more time on some character development. Let's spend a little bit more time on some cinematography, and let's take a couple of chances. It can still have a Hammer feel, but let's take a couple of chances to see if we hit something. And they did.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this was one of those, I don't want to say rare films, because it's not rare for Hammer to put out a good horror film, but this is one of those standout films that it has, well, I guess I would consider it modern touches in a classical type film. And Christopher Lee's performance is just spot on. I mean,
he just knock it out of the fucking park.
I mean, how do you say, hey, Christopher Lee movie sucks? You don't, unless it's fucking Star Wars Anakin bullshit, but whatever.
Sarah Velez brings up something really interesting there. Says they were stage actors. They were used to nailing it in one shot.
That's
give
true.
The performance, you're prepared,
Yeah.
you go in, you rehearse, you got it down, boom, you knock it out, one take.
Yep.
Essentially, instead of just doing it for a stage audience, you're doing it for the camera.
And what's really interesting about that is when you have some of the lower budget films, the most expensive thing at the time was film, the actual film you shot on.
Yeah.
Because every take, every time it's rolling, that's costing you money. So when you can get actors that can nail it, 1, 2 takes, move on, 1, 2 take, that significantly drops the cost of your film.
Aaron Reed's saying when you're working on a budget, you really need professional focus actors who can get it done right. There's no money to waste on delays and unprofessionalism. True. And wrote it. No last name brought you to hit that same thing. Film was so new and expensive, especially the technology that they were using at the time. You got to do it in one shot because we can't afford to do pickups. This ain't digital.
Well, yeah, and film cutting was brand new, brand fucking new. So it wasn't like you had these master fucking tape cutters who can get in there and edit this out. You know what I mean? There's a reason why when you look at some of these older films, you'll still see big mistakes on them because it costs a lot of money to do pickup shots. It fucking practically unheard of to do a pickup shot back then, and the time you would have to invest in trying to get that that cut and those cuts correct. It's crazy. I don't know if you ever guys. I don't know if any of you two have ever done any kind of film cutting or tape cutting, but there was a guy who did 1-inch tape audio work. I think he still does. Stillegard Studios in Denton. He'll do like 1-inch tape master wise, where he'll do everything digitally and then everything gets bounced down to 1-inch tape for the masters. And he'll cut it. And even just doing that tape cutting is it's a tedious process.
It is. I actually watched a documentary. It was the history of editing in film and how like the position of the editor evolved. Because even if you take 1968, the concept of having an editor for your film was a really new concept, because back in the 40s and before, you sent it to an editing house and then you just had a team, and it was typically women at the time. You just had a team and they just run through and splice, and there wasn't a single editor that you worked with that was overseeing all the cuts. It was just like you sent it to today you send it to a VXF house and they just cut stuff and they send it back to you, and then you can send it back to them back and forth. But an actual editor is still a new concept, even in 1968.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, UKPI is in the house. Good to see you. UKPI says Hammer movies would use the same set back to back just to save money.
Absolutely.
This is very true.
Yeah.
The same thing. And Aaron Reese brings it up. Yep. Universal did the same. Dracula and White Zombie used the same sets. And that was the standard for Westerns for years. You could shoot, You could use one town and shoot 20 shows.
Yep.
Really, really easy. And Rodinella brings up an interesting way. Here is how odd modern film is. Monty Python and the Holy Grail was one of the earliest uses of handheld shaky cam. That is now a standard. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. I wonder if they did it for stylistic reasons or because they had a really small budget.
I'm thinking small budget.
I'm thinking they're telling everybody, it's like, no, it was a style, guys, right, Nigel?
Dude, that's like what Kevin Smith does. Because everyone's like, man, it's shooting Clerks in black and white. That was so smart. Because you really get it was like
cheap.
It's all like a fucking sport.
If you look at Night of the Living Dead, there's a reason why Night of the Living Dead is shot on black and white stock. Well, it was a style. No, it was cheap. They had color film back then. That shit was 5 times as much as a fucking black and white film. So you can literally slash your budget by, a fucking huge amount just by going.
All I can afford when I maxed out 9 credit cards to get the movie made.
Yeah, and it got stolen from me. Fucking hell.
But I mean, we talked about some great Hammer horror and a little bit of history of film. And obviously, Christopher Lee is amazing as an actor. Just straight up. Even in the Star Wars prequel, he's one of the best aspects because he had nothing to work with, and he was still convincing. But
Ewan McGregor, come on.
Oh, and Ewan McGregor, who should have won an Oscar because of the performance he turned in, despite everything that worked against him.
Yeah. Hayden Christensen. They're like sand.
You are softer than sand, lady.
Of course, and it gets into everything. Tear me apart, Lisa.
Tear me apart, Lisa.
Even he is better. I'm sorry. Even Tommy, at least he gave some fucking emotion. You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
It's not a human emotion, but it is an emotion.
But it is an emotion.
I think Neil Breen was, getting Oscar before Hayden Christensen.
I watched this film Twisted Pair that he released last year. I can't tell you what happened in that film.
I don't think he can.
Clint Howard is going to win an Oscar before Hayden Christensen does.
I said Joe Montana.
But what I would like to ask the audience is, what is your favorite Christopher Lee Hammer horror film? because he has done a lot of them and a lot of great performances.
Jeez.
Definitely
Don't
let
ask
us.
me.
I'm gonna have to say the one that kicked it off, Dracula, is mine, because in that one it was his first time. But with this one, with Dracula Rise from the Grave, this is his fourth time in the role, so he's got a handle on it. He's comfortable. He knows what he wants to do. With that first one, when you first grab a role like that, like, guess what? You're going to be taking over the role that essentially, Bela Lugosi.
Fucking exactly.
Lugosi was the standard. Now you're
that's
going
so
to
hard, man. You got to
it.
think about that, right? So think about following in Bela Lugosi's footsteps in a role that he pretty much brought to life.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is your shot, and he went out there and he just fucking crushed.
There are a lot of people there are a lot of actors out there that could not do that. That it's too daunting of a task.
Right.
B would just fucking fail.
And that's why, it's not just that he's talented and he did a good performance. He made it his own. He didn't try to copy Lugosi. He tried to bring it his own energy, which was fantastic. Yeah, UKPI is correct. Christopher Lee was Dracula. Enough said.
I like Commander Darklight's answer. My favorite is
My
the one
one.
with Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee in it. Yes.
Yep, I think that's the best answer.
Yeah. My favorite one, the one with Christopher Lee in it.
Christopher Music Channel says all of them.
And Little Dick has brought up, he didn't speak in the first one. So the second one, since we got to hear that voice, he didn't need to.
Right. And that's the beauty part about Christopher Lee.
He was 6'4", 6'5".
Big guy. He's very tall. Very tall.
Yeah. Guy. And at the time, and he was in the guy was imposing as shit. And that, given how they produce those films with the lighting and the way the camera hit him and the way the director captured him, that guy was scary. No fanciful I don't drink wine. Blah, blah. None of this, Romanian bullshit. This fucker's gonna beat your ass, and then he's gonna eat you. So
like when he got in this film when he gets stabbed with the fucking 4 chair legs and one sized fucking the fucking chair leg of the gods steak. He gets stabbed with this fucking thing. He looks at it, goes, "Hey. Ow!
I'm trying to sleep here.
I don't go fucking stabbing you in the middle of the night when you're asleep, you asshole."
Fucking Wesley Snipes. Motherfucker, you out of your damn mind? Oh, hey, Robert Caslow. What's up, my heretics? Good to see you, Robert Caslow. Thanks for popping in. And I see, I thought I saw somebody new. Nope, I just saw Robert Caslow come in. So good to see you. But yes, definitely let us know what is your favorite Christopher Lee Hammer horror film in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com.
All right, Johnny, what do we got next?
Fucking JL giving me this one. God damn it.
Oh, what's up, Jinju? Good to see you too.
Hey, Jinju. Look.
This was a good one.
No, look. Yes, performance-wise, amazing. Fucking ventriloquist dummies.
Yes.
1978.
I picked these on purpose.
I know you do. We're talking about Magic, which is a 1978 American psychological horror film starring Anthony Hopkins and Margaret Burgess Meredith. I like how you did that after I said Burgess Meredith.
What's wrong with Burgess Meredith, man?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I'm gonna get your rock.
Uh-oh. There we go. See, look, you pissed off the dogs. The film was directed by Richard Attenborough. Hey, shut up.
That was so perfect. Richard Attenborough. He did nature stuff, and all the animals know him.
Exactly. Like, hey, I know that guy. It's based on a screenplay by William Goldman, who wrote the novel upon which it's based, and of course, Jerry Goldsmith composed the score. So we've got Anthony Hopkins playing Charles Corky Withers. And fails as a professional magician because he's kind of dry and boring, but somehow he figures out he needs to get a better gimmick. Gets a ventriloquist dummy. Fucking creepy as fuck too. And all of a sudden that starts this slip into insanity. So yeah, it gets interesting. We'll say that. It's really interesting.
This is a wild one.
It is a wild one. So look, the best scene in this film is the 5-minute scene where you've got Anthony Hopkins. He's in this hotel. This is after people start noticing that he's slipping into insanity with this doll. And so he leaves town and goes hide out at this motel. And Burgess Meredith's character catches up to him and says, "Hey, we need to talk because here I am worried about you, slipping into insanity. And as I come up on you, door wide open to your freaking motel room, you're arguing with a ventriloquist dummy." And Anthony Hopkins' character tries to play. How else am I supposed to rehearse? I'm just rehearsing this whole thing because Burgess Meredith knows what's going on. He knows that he's got this mental break, and that he can't control it. So whenever he sits down and says, "I tell you what, we'll do one thing. If you can do one thing for me, we'll call it quits. We'll forget the whole thing. If not, then I'm gonna get you the help that you need." And Anthony Hopkins' character says, "Yeah, go ahead, whatever, name it." He says, "Shut the doll up." I forget what the doll's name was. Shut the dummy up for 5 minutes. Fats, yeah.
Fats, yeah.
Keep Fats quiet for 5 minutes. And he's like, "Oh yeah, of course I can do that. 5 minutes, I could do 5 years." And he says, "Well, just 5 minutes." And they sit there and wait. And that building tension, as you can see on Anthony Hopkins' his character, is like, I can't fucking do it. I can't do it. He keeps asking him, "How long has it been?" "Oh, 30 seconds. Oh, and then he'll say something. "Oh, how long now?" "Oh, just coming up on a minute." "Oh, it's been 2 minutes now, right?" "It's been 2 minutes, minute 45. And he gets to 2.5 minutes, and Anthony Hopkins is like, "I just can't do it. I can't do it." That whole scene was so brilliantly acted by everybody, and just these two guys, really. You know what I mean? So brilliantly acted, and was an excellent representation of that struggle that people who have this mental disability, this mental disorder. It's so great.
It really is, because a scene like that can become boring really quick when it's like, okay, we're gonna sit in a hotel room and have nothing happen for like 2.5 minutes, but for 2.5 minutes, that can get old and boring real quick. It's a hotel room, you can't get a lot of angles, it's a small space, but it's the little nuances of their performances. It's just the actual camera angles that they pick, and it's just you start getting on the edge of your seat. You start feeling like beads of sweat are coming down like your forehead watching it, because you're just like, how long has it been to? It has been 30 seconds. Like, fuck, it's been 30 seconds. Kind of thing.
Did you notice? Did you pick up? There's some facial nuance that Anthony Hopkins is well known for. Things that he does with his eyes, and the kind of like the areas around his mouth, and especially when he's projecting like nervous energy or a growing intensity. And if you see what's wild about this is, like, for anybody who has not seen Magic, because this wasn't, it wasn't a tremendous film that was just like blown up all over the place. Like, oh, this is amazing. Unlike like Silence of the Lambs. But if you've seen Silence of the Lambs first, you go back and watch this, you will see the early Anthony Hopkins. You will see those nuances that he perfected in that, and that he goes back on them to give Hannibal Lecter that extra little bit of oomph, that really sells a moment. That sells a moment, just two people talking, and you can see the pathos behind the words that he's saying. That there is miles behind the very simple statements that are being had. It was the simple conversation is happening. And Burgess Meredith, holy shit. Okay, I want to stress how big in this one, how pedigreed this movie was. So. And it's just going from the top. Okay, you got William Goldman. Okay, William Goldman, known for Princess Bride, known for Marathon Man, a number of other, fantastic writer, novelist, and I think also a stage play, theater background, everything. Fantastic writer. and adapts his own movies, and how so he's a screenwriter as well. You rarely get a writer who can tackle all of that at once, because it's different. I guess there's just different mentalities. But William Goldman on top, Jerry Goldsmith handling the music, absolutely amazing, and then of course Richard Attenborough directing. Everybody, if you don't know who Richard Attenborough was, if you don't remember, Richard Attenborough was, I think the most recent thing, he was Hammond in Jurassic Park 1 and in Lost World in the first two. So he was
that's Sir Richard Attenborough.
Sir Richard Attenborough. My apologies. So, and then of course you got your cast: Anthony Hopkins, Anne Margaret, Burgess Meredith, Ed Lauter, David Ogden Stiers in this. For people should know him from MASH. The other names are pretty much legendary. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I mean, in all of this going in, you think about what this is in first. Okay, first I want to say, I got to do two things. One, and this is how much I've been so waiting to talk about this movie. One, I honestly think that everybody around Hopkins was actually a little bit better than he was. And Hopkins was fucking amazing. Okay? But so just consider it. And this is my opinion. I could be totally wrong. You may not see it. Hopkins was fantastic. But Burgess Meredith was fucking phenomenal. And Margaret. Everything she brought to that role, from the sympathy, the compassion, and there was not a move she made that didn't make sense for being the kind of like the feminine lead of the film. Everything played, especially when you get into the more ambiguous notes, the kind of ambiguous nature of the movie itself, like, Fats, Corky, the relationship there. Ed Lauter was fantastic. David Ogden Stiers is great. Classic, all fantastic actors. I honestly think that everybody around Anthony Hopkins, either he is so good he made them that much better, but I think they were all amazing. I think Burgess Meredith was the most underrated of all this, considering he got the role. He took the role from, he didn't really take it, but originally that role was supposed to go to Laurence Olivier. And I think Olivier either had to pass, I think he had to pass on it he was unable to do it. So then they went with Burgess Meredith, who did the whole, modeled everything he had after Swifty Lazar and just encapsulated it perfectly. The mannerisms, the bald head, going all full bore. And then the fact that I think they were considering Steven Spielberg to direct originally before they went with Attenborough. Spielberg wanted Robert De Niro to play the role of Corky. Roll that in your head. And I think Jack Nicholson was also considered for the role of Corky before it went to Tony Hopkins. Ooh. So what? Go ahead.
Well, one of the things, when you have a cast that is so good and a lot of work and stuff, because you're getting these big name people into your film. So it's a lot of work to coordinate to get that in there. But when everybody's performance, that is the perfect meld between cast and director, because the director is the one that's getting the cast members where he needs them to be. So when Richard's talking with Anthony Hopkins, talking with Burgess, and the way they're able to come together on that is the perfect meld on that, where you get these performances that just basically pop and explode on the screen from that. That's
that's the trust you have, because Attenborough had worked previously with Joseph Levine and William Goldman on I think it was on A Bridge Too Far. It was on A Bridge Too Far, and that's why the studio backed them, because wanted Attenborough for it, because he already had previous working experience. They knew each other and they trusted one another with this production. And I think that's what you get when you get this level of talent, this level of trust, this level of communication. It's kind of one of those rare moments to create this movie that just came out the way it did. That was I don't understand why the movie wasn't as big as it was, considering its pedigree, but it wasn't really pushed very hard by the studio, which is a damn shame.
I'm really curious, because it came out in 1978. I'm curious what was out at that time, because there were obviously a lot of great movies that came out in 1978, And I just wondered if maybe it was a timing thing, that it just maybe got lost in between some other great movies.
Oh, she just popped in. I want to say hi. Hello, Elizabeth Sylvester. Good to see you, one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much for popping in. Just wanted to make sure we said hi. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we had Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Obviously, that took away from it. No, but in all honesty, Superman came out at that time. Deer Hunter came out. Let's see, there were a couple other good horror films that came out at that time too. Of course, Halloween. So you had Halloween coming out at that time. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, that remake, that was out. There were a lot of competition for that film. I'd have to go back and do a deep dive to find out which ones came out roughly the same time. But I mean, there were just so many films that came out that would have taken away from it, or taken away from the potential of that movie. Seeing as how it really is more of it's psychological horror for sure, but there's a lot going on there with that movie. The conversations going on, everything about that movie is really intricate, and you've got to sit down. It's a thinking person's movie.
Definitely, absolutely, and it forces you to pay attention, and not just. I mean, you look at the flair of when Hopkins or when Corky is interacting with Fats, or when everybody else is witnessing the interaction with Fats. And look at it from their perspective, but you've got to really pay attention to what's going on, especially to Sir Anthony Hopkins, as somebody reminded me. Well, he wasn't a sir at the time. So, Anthony, you got to really look at Anthony Hopkins' performance, because what he sells, and I think it was someone was pointing out, and everybody's pointing out, says, Hopkins' character was supposed to be flat, non-expressive, very limited affect. Because
that's what I was going to get to.
Yeah, he can only express himself is through Fats.
So and you take a look at the performance that he did for Charles. I can't remember his name, the character's name, but he played Charles in MASH. Anyway, take a look at the performance he did.
Ogden Steers.
Yeah. And if you look at that, pick a card. Oh, okay, cool. It was really, he was expressing, this is boring. What, does this get any better? Because this is fucking dull. And it's just Anthony Hopkins on stage. It's just Corky doing his role. And then all of a sudden, Fats comes up there. And Fats, there's an interesting thing about ventriloquism that is in itself, it's really just a dance between people who are mentally not there. And that comment may not age well, but take a look at some of the funnier ventriloquist comedians. Like, take a look at Jeff Dunham.
Yeah.
Right? He's hilarious as a ventriloquist. You take away the dummies and use those jokes, how funny is he really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's got these characters to be able to, and think about some of the jokes that he does tell, like with Sweet Daddy D and Bubba J and
Ahmed the
undead terrorist.
Terrorist.
Yeah. Look at some of the things that he says. If it weren't for the fact that it was a quote dummy saying it, how fast would he have been canceled? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
So there's that dance that happens, that because these people who may have or who are like Corky and have this real reserve, they don't know how to really express themselves. Now all of a sudden they've got this avenue to express a side of them that they've never expressed before, and it's so new and so different that Corky doesn't even realize that, hey, this is really me over here. He thinks it's somebody different. He's actually had that mental break where he's, where he's having these arguments and his what he thinks are real conversations with somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
I loved that this concept, that the idea of the dissociation between the puppet and the ventriloquist has been, I think going all the way back to the Great Gabbo in I think it was 1929, that this idea of, ever since someone, I guess, decided to put a puppet on their lap and make it talk and try to make their voice for them like that, has been, that's why, I love that how it's an old story. And it's told from both a comedic aspect. I mean, of course, puppets have always been all the way, I think Howdy Doody, so on and so forth. We try to make them fun, but I love the horror aspects of it. I think Dead of Night was good. Devil Doll was good, 1964. I think the most recent one was that James Wan one. Dead Silence. Yeah. Dead Silence. Or if you want to count the puppet that was used for the Saw films, Billy the Puppet.
Not really. That was
really ventriloquism.
Yeah.
But that wasn't your classic one. But of course, Dead Silence had and had the classic looking one. Of course, Goosebumps did one as well.
Yeah,
the evil puppet, and I think Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right, and of course the one that you still haven't seen, Making Contact.
Yes, Making Contact.
Yeah, I only bring it up because I want you to watch it. I think it's fun. And I want you to keep in mind that I first saw this when I was like 8 years old. My mom was like, "Oh yeah, here's a movie you guys can watch." Fuck me running. I didn't sleep for a week.
Oh, this is interesting. Aaron Reed says, but is it multiple personality disorder or a hallucination? Well, that's kind of like what we want to ask the audience.
I think so. So yeah, I mean, if we want to get there, we want to get to CTA already. We can if we're done with the conversation. Absolutely. That is really the question. So is Corky crazy or is Fats real? Is he alive? That's the question. Let us know.
Given the ending.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I honestly
that's part of the conversation. You got to think about it. Is what's going on there. And here's the deal. I like the idea that no, it really is just Corky has had a split. He's had a split with reality. He's had a mental break from reality. I don't think that Fats is alive. At least I have to believe that so I can sleep tonight. Okay.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that what happens with Peggy at the end. When she starts, her voice starts changing.
So
when she changes her mind to come back to Corky,
as I said, Fats is not really alive.
I think Fats is a possessing entity.
Okay, Fats is not really alive.
Donnie's trying to sleep tonight.
Because that's my thought. That's why it wasn't even that it was the doll. I think Fats was a possessing entity that drives people
is
insane.
Not real.
And Fats jumped, and then once he was dead, Fats jumped to her invariably so that she would pick up the doll. And I mean, I think because essentially, I think.
No, hang on a second. I want to break in there for a second because you think you're missing the mental aspect, the break of it, right? So she's this is a tragic thing that's happened that she's witnessed, be it in person or be it the fact that she knows about it happening, and in order to be able to deal with it, to deal with that, she separates those two. Now, I'm being serious.
No, not that fast. No, not that quick. I think.
Look, Fats, it's the film. Everything happens faster in film. Okay?
No, I think that Fats was a possessing entity, and that Corky was possessed. That Corky was possessed, and that the only way that the possessing entity could express itself was through the doll, which is why when he killed himself, it jumps to her. And that's why she starts laughing like this at this scenario that she is seeing. That's why her voice begins to change into Fats's, because Fats jumped from Corky to her. Invariably, she may pick up the doll, and that's how it will begin to express itself as well, and the cycle begins anew. I think that this is world building. That this is an entity. This is either a demon or something, whatever, or a ghost or something of that nature.
That just is jumping around, and
that just jumps from ventriloquist or jumps from host to host, essentially not really making them a ventriloquist, but coming out through the doll. Or is the only way for the host to stay sane in that respect? I don't know, but I think that's ostensibly what it was. I think that Fats was not necessarily alive, but it was an entity that was voicing Fats. And maybe even Corky wasn't aware of it.
Well,
that's why Corky thought he was going. That's why he thought he was going crazy, and he made the decision he made because he thought it was him, but it wasn't. It was I'm just saying. That's what I took away from it.
Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you. So happy you're here to witness.
What do you think, Eugene? What do you think?
So, I want to go the same route only because of her pitch change. If it wasn't for her
only because you guys want to make sure I don't sleep for the rest of my life.
The possessing entity to me is the more interesting way to go about it. I think if the movie was made probably today, it would probably just been, oh, it was in Corky's mind all the time. He goes, kills himself, boom, then it's done and over. But it was her change at the very end. I didn't necessarily, when I watched it, I didn't necessarily think a kind of a possessing demon sort of thing, but maybe just some type of just magical, like Fats was alive on it. Like maybe it was just, it's a real boy kind of thing.
There is some Geppetto thing going on there. Yeah,
so UKPI says Magic was a movie based on the decline of mental health, not the dummy, all to do with Corky.
Thank you.
I would agree with you were it not for that final scene, which
but again,
I think changes the stakes. I don't think I am.
I really do. I really think you're putting too much into that.
No, because that kind of twist is the perfect caliber for Goldman's writing. That is the perfect kind of thing that he would do.
And that's all well and good, but again, you're not keeping in mind the fact, you got to keep in mind the fact that yes, it was the end of the film, but there was still something they were trying to say about mental health, and in order to do that, they had to elevate or at least quicken the manner in which that would happen. That's part of the conversation.
No, then it wouldn't have been Fats. It wouldn't have been Fats that was coming out. It wouldn't have been him.
You're
it would have been her own version.
You're assuming that it
I'm
was.
not assuming
her own version.
That was most definitely
it was her own version. It was her own version.
Anyway, Glover Bob says weekend or so. Would the doll be the ventriloquist and Corky and Peggy the ventriloquist dummies in that case? I don't even think it was the doll. That's why I think that it was a possessing entity or some sort of entity that was attached to Corky, and Corky didn't know it, and that the only way it could express itself, and keep the host sane was through the doll. But obviously, it's this murderous entity that essentially was projecting its own bullshit. Obviously, if it's a demon that likes to kill women, then that's one thing it could do, and it could drive Corky insane, overwhelming his personality. Because that actually kind of makes sense. Because if the thing is attached to him, then his introvertedness and his inability to really affect is essentially being overpowered by the thing that's attached to him. So I don't think it was the doll in and of itself. I think it was Corky. And when Corky died, it had nowhere to, so it jumped to the nearest person, and the nearest person was Peggy. That's my thoughts. Let us, I say, if you disagree, if you agree, if you have your own theory, let us know, and down in the comments below, or hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com. It's kind of like the monkey. It's like the monkey. The monkey was actually the man. That's the point. I wore the perfect shirt. Johnny's over there going like, where's it at? It's right behind me. It's right behind me.
Guys, is there a dummy behind me? We don't know. You don't have your camera on. Oh, shit.
Dun, dun, dun.
Behind you. Behind you. Oh, come on, Jay. Come on, Jamie. You know he's around.
Oh, jeez. What do we have next? Let's stop scaring Johnny and start scaring Jay.
Well, this movie will definitely, probably scare somebody. It's kind of creepy in that respect. I will give it that. So
UKP, I absolutely agree with you.
What do you say? UKP, I said, JL, you missed the point of the film, buddy. I don't think I missed the point of the film. I think that that's what Goldman was trying to do. That Goldman had that this is the story, but there's something more at the end. That this is one aspect, and that's why it makes it such a fantastic film. It's because it was more than meets the eye. You have the story where you kind of ask, is Fats alive or is it really Corky? Yeah, you pretty much look at the evidence, say it's pretty much Corky. But then all of a sudden, this supernatural event takes place. It's kind of like, well, maybe it's not. But Corky's dead. So what do we? I was like, bigger universe at play. That's the brilliant. That's the stuff that makes William Goldman's work so fantastic.
I can do it too.
So I don't think I missed the point of the film. I think I saw the additional point of the film.
So next we have.
So the next movie. I will defend my position. I will see this hill. I have a flag. I have a flag on this hill. So yes, the next film that we were going to be talking about released November 9th, 2007, and it is the creepy, atmospheric stalker horror P2. P2. It doesn't even sound like a movie title to be.
No, it's
honest.
those little protein packs you buy at Walmart. They have like fucking cheese and nuts in it.
They could have named it something, but directed by Frank Calhoun and written by Alexandre Aja, Frank Calhoun, and Gregory Lavoisier, starring Wes Bentley and Rachel Nichols in the primary roles. This creepy little set is about a young businesswoman played by Rachel Nichols who becomes trapped in an underground parking garage in Midtown Manhattan during Christmas, when the streets are like deserted. And she is then pursued by a psychopathic security guard who has been long obsessed with her. And this is Wes Bentley at his absolutely most fucking creepiest. I think Johnny made the best joke about this was this character, because Wes Bentley, this is essentially, this character is what happens when the girl you kidnapped when the girl who got kidnapped dumps the guy who stares at plastic bags flying around all day long.
Yes, this is Ricky Fitz meets Dave McCall. And who gets those, I want to know who gets those fucking references. I know JL probably does, but yeah, definitely Ricky Fitz, meets Dave McCall. Yeah.
Oh, Robert Caslow says, so Johnny wants a Fats doll for Christmas.
Yes.
Yes, he does.
Yes, I do. Two
yes,
of them.
He does.
So they can fight each other while I sneak away.
This would, I mean, I'll give it this. Now, the one thing that I will point out, and I think needs to be pointed out with this one, is that Aja, Lavoisier, and Calhoun. This trio worked on a film previously called High Tension, but some people may know it as Hot Tension or like How to Tension or Switchblade Romance. But the one with the girl, with the fucking, what the hell is that fucking saw that, you know what I'm talking about, the one on the cover. That I think that this movie was really, really similar to. But High Tension was a French film. This was an American one.
Yep. This is basically the American version of High Tension.
Yeah, it pretty much is without saying it.
Right.
Maybe for legal reasons, and they saw High Tension, liked it, and like, we can do that too. And then not credit High Tension at all.
Well, yeah, it's the same three guys, and
right, but it's still they don't own that movie.
Well, yeah, that's true. But they essentially just did the American version, but they dropped and that's the thing that got me, for all of its atmosphere, which is great because these guys, Aja knows how to make a creepy fucking movie. He's really good at it. And the thing that gets me is that all of this talent went into this. The atmosphere, I don't think I've ever seen a creepier fucking parking garage. Just the atmosphere of that, knowing that he's lurking around, in his little fucking office that he's got stashed away, and he's got eyes everywhere and shit. Knowing that this guy, this is super fucking creepy. And it was a very atmospheric movie. At some point, it's very, very claustrophobic. And she's running around in her fucking, her slip, in her nightie. No, that's a slip, right?
I thought it was like a dress that he put on her, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That he dressed her up in that shit.
Yeah.
And when she was unconscious. And so you've got this great atmosphere going on. Super creepy Wes Bentley and Richard Nichols. Tasty. But they dropped all of the things that made High Tension good. The relationship between the girls was fantastic because you got one girl thinks that they're best friends, one girl thinks that they're meant to be. And they don't communicate this ever. They don't really, they just make assumptions about each other. One girl is extremely psychopathic. The other one is completely oblivious because she's my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other girl is so crazy. She's so dissociated that she's doing the things she's doing like outside of her body. And it was a wonderful setup, but all of the little elements that made High Tension fantastic, it seems like they felt like they had to drop it for American audiences. That's the feeling I got.
I don't know. I don't know if they had to drop it for American audiences. I think they wanted to make it different enough. That way the studio from High Tension couldn't say, you guys just took this movie and did it over here in for American audiences. So I think they had to make it different enough. And they thought that the relationship between the security guard and Rachel Nichols' character was good enough as it is. I think that's what because they wanted to focus there. They thought that what's his name, Ricky Fitz. They thought Ricky Fitz was, he was good enough to enough to house those two mentally broken characters from High Tension, and he was. God damn, man. I've seen this guy in other things. It's like, you watch him in American Beauty. It's like, okay, cool. He plays this kind of weird kid really well.
It's
and
the
then
most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, let me show you the most beautiful thing. It's a fucking bag, dude. The fuck, man. How fucking high were you when you fucking saw this? That's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, you fucking weirdo. And that shit worked too. It got the big titty girl to be like, "Oh, all right, I'll suck your dick." I just don't get it.
That's his game plan right there. That's it.
That's one way to sum up Thora Birch's pretty impressive performance in that entire film. We'll just go ahead and just like, okay.
Yeah, right.
The film also won Best Picture, by the way, too. But yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just that dynamic, okay? And we all know why it won Best Picture, because Kevin Spacey diddled the. Anyway,
what? No.
What? No, it wasn't because
Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening were fantastic together.
They were
their
terrific.
roles were great. Everybody was good in that movie. Chris Cooper was amazing in that film, and
it's a good movie.
And I think
Scott Bakula played that gay guy really well.
Exactly.
No, I'm serious. I really not. That's a joke, but I'm being serious. Everybody in that
really, I think it was the music. It was the music that made that movie.
The music did really help. It played a character all of it.
And Mina Suvari's almost. Oh no, her boobies. She showed her titties.
Anyway, so that movie, I joke, but
we'll give JL a minute. But continue.
Yeah, also move here.
Go away, mate.
Oh Jesus. But watching his performance in this film in P2, he was really good. He had range as opposed to being this flat character that he'd been in damn near everything else that I've seen. He kind of was a little unhinged in Ghost Rider, but he was still pretty flat in that movie. He was really flat in, I guess it was just his character in The Hunger Games was really flat. And then that was supposed to be his character in American Beauty, was just kind of weird, flat, creepy kid doing weird things, filming everything. But this in P2, he was, that scene where how old is this movie? So we're outside of that. Okay, cool. So that scene in the parking garage where he runs over the guy who inappropriately
into his car.
Yeah, we smashed into his car. That whole lead up to it, he really built the tension there. His performance was what really drove the tension of that scene. Like, you're saying, could he do it? Maybe he's gonna do it now. Maybe he won't. And then like, fuck yeah, he is. Yes, I am. I'm doing it.
God, that'd be an awful way to go.
Fuck, Jesus Christ.
After the shit he pulled though, I'm glad he got stabbed in the fucking eye. I've never felt so good. Normally, like eye stabs, they really, they kind of bug me. I always kind of like, oh God,
I'll get
gross.
it. Yeah.
I was like, oh, would she pull that? Pow! And I was like, fuck yes,
do the other one.
Do the other one.
Finish him,
that motherfucker.
Yeah. And like, so it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny we reference Ricky Fitz in there, because when before that happens, there's that build up to it. She finds the axe after she escapes the car. So she finds this axe and she comes up to his office, and playing in his office is the video that he made of him dressing her up as she was unconscious.
Yeah.
This fucking creepy ass moment.
Yeah.
Sold by her. I think the movie, like I said, the movie, it kind of misses the mark, but it's strongly done. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. It's some people saying, there's some people like UKPI was saying it was a bit meh. They did it better in ATM.
Mhm.
There are other versions of it where, as far as like cinematography decisions or directorial decisions or however whatever the actor's choices are, that can make it a little bit better. But for what they were doing here, and because I absolutely love High Tension, I think it's one of the greatest horror films of that decade. And it was kind of a hallmark. It was like, okay, I can see where they were going with this. I think they could have upped the stakes a little bit more, but with a strong performance by Wes Bentley, who was, and currently he's on the show Yellowstone, which is about to go into its fourth season.
Yeah.
But he is phenomenal on Yellowstone. He's really, really good. Considering where they're going with his character. They're really turning him into, I mean, he's going to be a villain, but that's where they're pushing him, which is really great. But Rachel Nichols, who I've been a fan of hers since, what was the first time I saw her? Amityville Horror, the Ryan Reynolds, Melissa George. She was the babysitter.
One, right? Something like that.
Yeah, she was the babysitter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay.
And I've liked her since then, and I really dug her in a Continuum, which is a sci-fi show that she.
Wow,
she
we have the
really...
same birthday, Rachel Nichols and I.
But strong performances from both of them, I think, elevated the movie. It definitely could have been. I mean, if you hadn't cast the right actors, this thing would have fallen on its ass. Aaron Reese, that's funny. Aaron Reese says H.H. Holmes buys a garage. And wrote it no less names as my prediction for the trivia tonight. Mina Suvari, I think it's Suvari. Mina Suvari's rose petal covered breasts.
Damn it. All right, I'll rewrite the trivia question.
Son of a bitch. He got it. But definitely, I mean, I think that this one kind of got there. It was well crafted. You had.
I think it was a little too fast for it. Could have been more of a slow burn, but I think it was just too quick. Oh,
sarcasm! Bring up both Pet and Cage were better films. I generally didn't give two hoots if she lived or died because I never invested in her emotionally.
Exactly.
That's the one thing. Yeah. That's one thing that did kind of set it apart. Was I think in Pet. That relationship, and if I remember, I want to make sure that I get her name correct because I absolutely adore her. She was on Lost Girl. But Pet was a film that came out in 2016 about a guy who ostensibly he does the exact same thing. But it's Dominic Monaghan from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
There's Dominic Monaghan and Ksenia Solo. And essentially, he traps her. He captures her and sticks her in a cage.
But does he? And why? I love that dynamic. I didn't like the film so much per se. I like the dynamic of the film though. I like the fact that it was two cats trying to play cat and mouse with the other one.
Yes.
And
Ksenia, holy shit. Because you know her from like Lost Girl and some of the other little things that she's done, and she typically was playing the same kind of role. It's kind of like the girl. She's tough, she's small, but she's fierce. That kind of thing. She was fucking damn. I'm surprised her career has not taken off a little bit faster because that was a hell of a performance she put in that one. And I can agree. With sarcasm on this one. It was a little bit tougher to invest in Rachel Nichols because Rachel Nichols has. I don't know. There's something about her physicality, which kind of indicates there's kind of an indicator that she's gonna make it through this. She doesn't have that sense of fragility to her, whereas Ksenia Solo actually does.
But they never made it. They never really gave us the impression that she was in real mortal danger.
Yeah, in real danger. Yeah,
because his obsession with her didn't seem. It seemed like he was more a protector who was just fucking crazy than. Well, if I can't have you, nobody can. You know what I mean? I never got that sense from their relationship or his. You know what I mean? I never got that. Whereas in other films that are similar, you can kind of see that. Well, if you don't do what I say, then you're fucking dead. You feel that character's in danger.
And that's one of the things that was missing. That thing that was missing from this that was in High Tension, which makes High Tension so good, despite the fact that son of a bit. Oh shit! I've lost her name. I had her name, tip of the tongue. Marie. Despite the fact that she was so in love with Marie, but Marie was in mortal danger,
right,
the whole time. because even though she thought that she was stealing her away so they could be together, all of these assumptions were built up in her mind. And the minute there was an error, like this essence of rejection, this error of rejection, like what are you doing? Once it all dawns upon her, Marie is in mortal danger. She's always been in mortal danger. There is a very good chance that she will not make it out of this movie alive. Her friend is so mind-numbingly insane. And I liked, and that's why I love that went, because anything could have happened. Not to mention the extreme moments with that severed head and all the other fucking crazies that went on that movie. I don't think I need to go into too much detail about that particular one, but all the fucking craziness, as violent as that movie was, I was honestly afraid for this girl in the back of the truck. It's like, this girl's gonna die. She's not going to make it through this. And
you never got that in P2.
Exactly. Never got it from Rachel Nichols. She was always strong. She's just like the strong girl. Like, I am the final girl because I'm the only girl. So I have to be I have to be the final girl.
Yeah. Kill her off in the first 10 minutes. It's just him by himself for the next hour.
That would here's the thing.
Jerking
That
off
would
to
be
the security tapes. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
That would be a really cool concept, though.
He kills her with a bag,
with a plastic bag
to the chair.
Yeah,
there's so much beauty.
So that's what we could do, right? So we could take P2, we could take American Beauty, and we can take Magic. Put all that shit together. Okay. Instead of the ventriloquist dummy, it's the bag. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
All right. Anyway, so I actually want to ask the audience. And we talked a bit about it, the comparisons between High Tension and P2. Essentially, they're kind of the same movie. I'm really curious what the audience thinks. Of the two, who do you think did it better? Do you think High Tension did it better? Arguably, it was a French film, and it was subtitled or dubbed. I think the subtitle one was far better. But do you think that High Tension did it better, or did P2 do it better? Let us know in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. And Aaron Reese says, no, I want to hear JL go on more about how the bag might be possessed.
It was a bag the entire time.
It was the bag. If you go back and watch American Beauty, like in the corner of every shot, it's just barely out of focus. It's a bag in every shot, just doing this. All right. So, Eugene, you got the big one, the big bad one. Take us home. I wanted to give you you're the Spielberg of the group, so I wanted to give you the big epic movie to talk about.
The big epic one, the grandiose, the finale.
Damn blue inferno.
I wrote it no last name since my other trivia guest is Christopher Lee's rose petal covered breast. I think Christopher would appreciate that. I think Sir Christopher Lee would appreciate that. Guess he really would.
And somehow Christopher Lee would pull it off too.
He would.
He would pull it off.
That's exquisite.
I've been waiting for you.
You honor me, Christopher.
What have we done? What have we done?
Oh, fuck hell.
So for our last film, we have the great Bram Stoker's Dracula, released November 13th, 1992. It's directed by Francis Ford Coppola and starring Gary Oldman, Anthony Hopkins, Winona Ryder, and Keanu Reeves.
That's Blue Inferno.
We doubled up a bunch. We got 2 Anthony Hopkins films, 2 Dracula films,
and they're bookended.
Yeah,
act like you didn't do that on purpose.
I didn't. It's totally it just happened that way. I have no control over these things. I have no control over the things. It's the bag. I'm telling you. It speaks to me.
I'm sorry. I'm picturing like what would happen if we're sitting here all of a sudden just a bat comes over.
Fuck over Jail's head.
Straight up like Snatch style, or if it was Vacation.
From Vacation, yeah.
So what is this film about? It's about Dracula.
Yep.
Watch it.
Yep.
It's in the title.
Yes. And shit gets real.
Yep.
Watch it.
So
I do like how Francis Ford Coppola starts in the beginning, right? The beginning of the lore of Dracula with anybody at all? Bueller. Heads on Sticks. His name is
Vlad.
Fucking hell, golly! Why does it take so long? What do I have to do to get these answers out of you?
Because
JL?
you said starts with
opening.
It starts with a lot of shit. It starts with an opening scroll. It starts with Anthony Hopkins doing narration.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then it starts,
whenever
then it
it
eventually
up,
cuts to scenes of him.
Jackass. When I set it up with, I like how Bram Stoker, how Francis Ford Coppola and Bram Stoker, so they start with the history of Dracula.
Yes, of Vlad Tepes.
Thank you. The Impaler. Yeah, Vlad the Impaler. My God. Fucking hell. It's like pulling teeth with these assholes.
Vlad Dracula.
Yeah. Which means the Dragon King, by the way, in case anybody was curious. But no, I like how they start with that piece and show how the beginning of this whole thing happened, the lore. What I don't like is how they turn it into this love story, because it's not, Dracula is not a love story. It's very much a story of assorted affairs, we shall call it.
Well, I kind of dug. I dug what Coppola brought to it, and he wanted to bring that kind of like, and I think it was 1992. So at the time, I think Anne Rice was starting to, her books were starting to bring a romantic element to,
what was it?
Was
it 91 or 93? It was right around the same time that Interview with the Vampire came out. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand why he wanted to do it. They wanted to bring that sex appeal in there and whatnot. I get it.
Yeah, and that's where I think. I mean, obviously, he took it from. It was a hot thing, and the books were hot, and it injected a really. I think it injected kind of new blood into this into this tale, but it allowed, because look at your cast. You got Gary Oldman looking just fucking fly as fuck.
Yes,
through the whole thing. Keanu Reeves, new hotness. Winona Ryder, roughly new hotness. You had the hot young actors, and then of course, I think Carrie Elwes. And
the Rocket Man.
Oh, I can't remember he was the one who played the Doctor. And of course, Tom Waits up in that shit too.
Yeah, there were a lot of people.
Anthony Hopkins, Van Helsing. Yeah, so but the reason I'm so glad. I mean, obviously, we look over here in the live chat, and people are going like, "What is this?" Gary Oldman. Do I need to? UKPI is like, Gary Oldman. Do I need to say more? Travis Brown, Gary Oldman in that crazy wig. It's true. Let me see. There's a lot of love for this, and there's very little, because the film was so huge. There's very little that we don't know about the movie. But the one thing that's big on this one, I love as filmmakers a chance to kind of roundtable and just talk about this movie and the time that we have left. This thing was inspirational to, I think, to all of us in some degree. Whether it was Coppola's directing, whether it was the cinematography, there was the use of music or the use of Foley effects. There was a combination of multiple aesthetic styles that were chosen throughout the movie that I thought were absolutely brilliant in order to convey different things, like the opening montage of him like impaling people and shit.
Yep.
Then I loved the
it was a good way to get the exposition done without being overly expositional.
Right. And then of course, and I thought it was really cool showing things of the time period, like the special effects and weird, interesting things going on at the time,
right?
That juxtaposed against this incredibly supernatural film with all these wonderful effects that we're seeing. For me, myself, as an actor, it was Gary Oldman's performance. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me on that. Actually, technically, it was kind of like 70-30. It was Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins actually based my performance as Van Helsing when I did this show. I did a stage production of Dracula. It was the first professional production I ever did out of film school, and I played Van Helsing. So I was a 23-year-old actor, fresh out of school, and playing a 60-plus-year-old German vampire killer. That was a hell of a lot of fun. So I was young, and I was like, oh, the only one I know I really am familiar with is Anthony Hopkins, so I'm going to base it off of him. And I think I did pretty good. But obviously Gary Oldman's acting in this, what he brought to all of the different versions of Dracula that he appeared as, and the warrior, the ancient, the devil, the kind of like the aristocrat, everything he brought to that, all those little nuances, deeply inspired me as an actor. And of course, who wouldn't, as a director, want to work on a production like this? I just wish the director would have went to the casting people and said, hey, can we hire somebody with talent to play Winona Ryder's character and somebody with a different kind of talent to play Keanu Reeves's character? That's your one gripe about this movie?
Those are pretty big gripes because they're terrible. I'm sorry. They are terrible. It took Sir Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman turning in amazing performances to save this movie from those shit performances. They were terrible. It was awful. Keanu Reeves has no business trying to pull off that New Englander from the 18 whatever fucking time period it was. He has no business trying to pull off that fucking accent. None whatsoever. Not saying he's a terrible actor. It just was not the role for him. I will say Winona Ryder is a terrible actress because she is. She's a terrible actress. I'm sorry. Her delivery is awful.
She was good in Stranger Things. She was good in Beetlejuice. She was good in Heathers.
So Winona Ryder is a terrible actress who JL just said was good in a role where she was talking to a fucking wall.
That was a good scene.
No, again,
Eugene. What are Eugene?
Okay.
Give me something.
Okay. So I agree with you in terms of Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves. Not the right movie. Winona Ryder always has a soft spot for me because she was one of my first ever celebrity crushes.
Fucking A.
And that's all well and good.
Yeah,
but celebrity crush can't act. That's all I'm saying.
Fucking A, Eugene. Fucking A.
She does. Like Winona Ryder.
She was my introduction to goth.
Exactly.
That's who she was to
no,
me.
she wasn't.
Beetlejuice, baby.
Beetlejuice. Get the fuck out of here. No.
She was my introduction. What is this? What is this? We wear black all the time, and we speak as
Elvira
though
was our introduction to goth.
I was too young. I didn't have that. I didn't have that same introduction as you did.
We're the same age, fucking JL.
Yeah, but
I didn't see Elvira until later in life.
Exactly. I didn't see Elvira until later in life. But you can be damn sure that I saw a Tim Burton movie.
Aaron Reese, it's not what I said.
wait. I didn't say that.
But going back to the thing that really stands out for me in this movie is the pure art direction. The production design is just out of this world because it's so easy to go, oh, well, I just want to go straight accuracy. I want to go for realism and going to the historical moments on it. But there's just this creativity because it's more artistic. They took this liberty to it. You see some of the types of armor they had where we had the red armor with like the little stripe. That's kind of not the type of armor.
The red corduroy armor, yeah.
But it looks so gorgeous,
dude. If you saw that fucker on the battlefield coming at you with a halberd in hand, and you're going up on it, that's kind of scary. I mean, just cutting swaths through motherfuckers. It's like, and he was like that guy. Normally, you don't want to stand out on a battlefield. Vlad is like, fuck this shit. I am here on the battlefield.
Come at me. Come at me.
The original "Come at me, bro." But I agree. The art direction in this, from every detail that went into this, I especially love the market scene
Yeah,
where
when he's walking down for the first time and they pass Winona Ryder's character.
Dude, that fucking great. Okay, the costuming.
Yeah.
Costuming in this was, I mean, the wardrobe in this, that I have still, this is 1992, I was 12 years old when this movie came out. That fucking suit, I am still in love with that green suit. That shit was fly. I wish I could pull off the suit like that. I'd more look like, you know, like the Monopoly guy got dunked in, like the Monopoly guy got slimed on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
He pulled that shit off, and I was like, holy fuck. That shit was it spoke to me in ways I wasn't ready to admit yet. And I love the scene, just the effortless scene. And plus, there's so many cool things that you see, especially when I think I was like 12 or 13 when I first saw this movie. Just little things like, you know, when she drops the perfume, when he startles her, he drops the perfume, and then, like, you know, the way he moves, the way they caught that with those little camera edits, and the whole, I mean, everything about it was just fantastic. Fucking hell, this movie was great.
And
Monica Bellucci. Oh yeah.
I like the scene where Keanu Reeves is being seduced by the three witches, or the three
vampires. Yeah, the three brides. Yeah.
Yeah, three brides is what I meant. Yeah. And then how it goes from like, oh, you know, as a kid, you're like, heck yeah, fucking hell. And then they turn all grotesque. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Not a deal breaker, but
well, it's like when you're young and you see this, you're kind of like, oh, this is so fucking hot. Oh, well, like this. But then you get older, and then you really see the nuance, you see the detail as to what is exactly happening here. And you're like, oh god, no, that's fucking horrible. Yeah. No, don't bite him there. No, that's bad. No, don't do that.
That's not what that means. Okay, that's not what those words mean. People, can we not do that? Yeah.
Oh God, no! And the sloppy seconds is a baby. No, that's not.
Oh yeah.
But Monica Bellucci. Dang. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I wanted, just as a filmmaker, you know, the things to appreciate about this movie. It's not just a matter of the incredible talent in front of the camera. The whole Lucy sequence was absolutely phenomenal. The way that story,
I love her, like I said, in terms of art direction, her entire wardrobe, the white face paint, the white, like, I don't even know what that's called, that headdress that she has on, and it just looks amazing.
Keanu wrote it. No, that's name. Keanu Reeves. Wow, I know vampires. But yeah, so, and I mean, honestly, and I gotta say,
like I said, that scene when that fucking scene was almost ruined.
Which one? The
scene where, you know, where Keanu Reeves first arrives at the Transylvanian castle.
The very opening.
Yeah, no, not the very opening. Well, I guess kind of.
Yeah, well, okay, no. What's the past historical thing that he shows up, you know, to
right, yeah, and you know, you've got Gary Oldman doing that super creepy shit where he cuts him and then licks the blade, and it's like.
But you know what it is? Gary Oldman is so overpowering in that scene. Is the reason why I can't really fault Keanu Reeves, because Keanu Reeves falls so. I mean, the bar is. I mean, you got Gary Oldman in the scene. You're gonna watch Gary Oldman. You could literally have Hayden Christensen sitting there delivering those lines, and I wouldn't fucking care, because I'm just watching Gary Oldman. I'm watching cool shadows coming in, you know, and then not matching the lights that's going on, and then, you know, great, you know, Gary Oldman shit, and
that's what I mean when it said it took a fantastic performance by Gary
Oldman.
You
do a cutout of Keanu Reeves and some ADR, and it'll work just fine.
That's true. Yeah, just put a fucking cardboard cutout there, and yeah, exactly, Eugene. Somebody behind him moving him with, and you can still see the hands that are holding the cardboard cutout.
You could Weekend at Bernie's Keanu Reeves, and it will work because Gary Oldman is in the scene.
I think that again, that Gary Oldman had to carry that whole thing. I'm not saying he couldn't do it, and I'm not saying he's bad for doing it. I just think it could have been better had we had a better actor in that, or the right actor for that role.
Aaron Ray says, having read the book, though, Harker is kind of a stooge, so Keanu's performance was actually pretty good.
I disagree. Just because his character was a stooge and Keanu Reeves is just by nature a stooge doesn't mean.
Why did you pull a wolf there, Mr. Wolf? Just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Exactly. But I just think there's again, it wasn't the role for him. I don't think it was a role for him. If that Stooge would have been fucking, Ted from Bill and Ted, perfect. He would have nailed it. But it wasn't. It was.
I don't know, old dude.
Yeah.
I guess I gotta fill out these papers for you. Whoa, babes on the wall.
Dracula was too wimpy in that movie. What?
I think that the performances of everybody around them is enough to. I honestly, I look back, I don't know who could have replaced at the time, 1992. I don't know who would have been better than Winona Ryder at the time.
You don't know who would have been better Winona Ryder at the time in 1992?
92.
Oh geez, let's see.
No, just looking at comparison wise, her height to Gary Oldman's height, and the look of the two actors playing together. You put a different actress with him. It's kind of like in Devil's Advocate, and I'm citing Keanu here, but the difference between Keanu and the chick who was playing his sister or his half sister. The chick who's playing his half-sister, and Charlize Theron. The two women are so completely different. And the way they play to Keanu Reeves, that's a big thing in casting. Hell, I've lost roles. I've lost lead roles because they cast a girl that would not pair well. Just the physicality between the two of us just doesn't match. And I was like, and I've been dropped down to supporting roles because of that. That happens. Because you never know who's going to read the best. And
chemistry reads are an actual real thing. Where you get your final. We need to cast, like, say, best friends or romantic partners or something. You get down to your finalist, and you have them read next to each other. That you just cycle them through to see who actually has the best chemistry.
Right, and the thing is that they wanted that given the roles that are in the play. One was supposed to be kind of like this hardworking guy of the earth. He's like he lives out there. He was a priest. He was playing I would have been playing a pastor, and he lives out there in the middle of nowhere. And he's supposed to be this man of the earth. He sows crops and he cuts down trees and shit. That would have been perfect. But the girl that they needed to cast needed to be shorter than me for that lead role, and the girl they had cast was actually an inch taller than I am. That wouldn't have played. That wouldn't have conveyed the character dynamic that they needed to play as this big, strong man being brought low by the politics of the things around him. And because I would have been smaller than everybody. So I got cast as the attorney, who is the prosecutor, who's prosecuting the guy. And they cast this dude, who's much, much taller than me. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. I don't think I could see anybody across from Gary Oldman, not in 1992. Now, someone mentioned here...
Marissa Tomei. I think Marissa Tomei would have been perfect.
Marissa Tomei or Ashley, you mentioned Ashley Judd as well.
Ashley Judd would have been another good one.
Yeah. Maybe. I just don't see her being able to drop that accent.
Maybe.
The accent she had in Passion of Darkly Noon? I don't know if she could do that.
Yeah, well, not any worse than fucking Winona Ryder. Michelle Pfeiffer even. She could have pulled that role off.
I think she might have been too tall.
Michelle Pfeiffer?
One of the reasons she was cast because I think she is just a hair shorter than Michael Keaton.
But with heels on, she's only 5'7".
I'm saying there has to be there's other options out there. There are shorter. Not to mention some of these people, they're camera tricks. You want to make somebody look taller, you shoot them in a way that makes them look taller.
Right. Look at fucking Tom Cruise. The guy's 5 foot with heels on.
He's just as tall as Stewie.
Yeah, exactly. you just put Tom Cruise closer to the camera than everybody else.
Yeah, forced perspective, or put him on a box.
Yeah.
Tammy Faye Baker. What the fuck? Robert Caslow is fucking weird. That's just strange. I don't know. So I mean, I like this one. And would somebody say that that this Dracula was wimpy? No. Oh no,
yeah,
Gary Oldman was a fucking ass kicker in this one.
You could have had Michelle Pfeiffer. She was 5'7". Gary Oldman's 5'9". It'd have been fine. It'd have been perfect. I think I'd actually been better than because Winona Ryder, she's a little taller, I thought.
I thought she was 5'6". I don't know, but I just don't see. I mean, but apart from that, there's a lot that
she's
works
5'3".
very, very.
She's tiny. Golly,
She's tiny.
sorry.
So okay, she's 5'3". So I think that there's a ton that works in this movie. I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously Johnny has his issues with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder being cast, but hey, you know, they were kind of the hot things.
I mean, I understand
time.
why they did it.
Yeah.
They were popular, and they were probably less expensive than some of the actors and actresses that I mentioned, but you know,
I mean, it was one of those things where you got people trying to break their image. Keanu Reeves trying to break his image because he's going to try to go against the type.
Yeah.
But he's super hot at the time. So, like, I mean, I understand why everybody's casting, why it all came to the way it did.
And of course, you know, but then of course, I would say anybody who has seen this one, if you get an opportunity to see it, this is like essentially just required viewing, not only as a horror fan, but as a filmmaker itself. You can see the choices that Coppola made in the production design was absolutely astounding. Obviously, a title like this, you're going to want to. It's going to get money dumped into it because it hadn't been touched. Dracula, the story, but Bram Stoker's version had not been touched in so long because the Stoker estate is so protective of the IP. And you had F.W. Murnau, who did Nosferatu back in Germany, and almost lost the damn movie. Fortunately, it wasn't all destroyed, which is why we can still see it today. And then you had Universal's take, the Bela Lugosi story,
right?
And then you had, but then not really in addressing, no one really tackling Bram Stoker's stuff.
Well, yeah, nobody really tackling the origin of Dracula, right?
Right.
And with the way that Bram Stoker did in his novel. So yeah, this one here, I mean, I don't think there's any of them that actually. I don't think there's any other ones that do. I mean, somebody talked about Von Helsing, the film, but they talk about Dracula, but not in the manner that which Bram Stoker did.
Right.
They'll reference the fact that it's in Transylvania and this, that, and the other, but nothing ever really gets into the lore that was set up by Bram Stoker in his novel.
Sarkaz says Dracula, Blade Runner, and David Lynch's Dune all put me to sleep in the first 10 minutes. I love them all, just can't make it to 12.
The thing is Francis Ford Coppola, his entire body of work is just legendary. I mean, so obviously you're gonna get the.
You mean he's got more movies than this one?
I know he actually did one other movie too. I don't know.
He's got a couple.
Yeah.
I think a couple.
Yeah.
What was it, Eugene? I can't remember off the top of my head. What was it?
Something about a dad. Something had a kid 90. I don't know, Godfather, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. I think it was like Brett. It was like. Was that kind of unknown actor at the time? Marlon Brando.
It was a christening movie, right?
Was it Brando? I think it was Brando. It was kind of an unknown actor.
Of course, starts off there at a wedding, and then I was like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, was like
something about a masculine child, and then a guy gets shot.
No, it was a christening movie, right? That's why it's called The Godfather. There's these two Catholic parents had to choose who was going to be the godfather of their baby.
And the end. That's
done.
It. That's all that happens.
Okay, Aaron Reese brings up Coppola was also able to kind of fool people into thinking of it as a drama rather than a horror film, which helped it pull a better budget.
Yep.
And I would agree.
That's
one
of the reasons why they made it into a love story, as opposed to, if you look at the original, again, looking at the source material, looking at Bram Stoker's source material, this was not a love story. This was very much depravity and what happens when you entertain multiple sex partners and entertain fornication without the benefits of ordained Christian marriage and all this shit. So one of the reasons why they turned it into a love story was to make it more of a drama.
I mean, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get the money.
Exactly.
This is true. Love that scene. I always think of that scene when they bust in and he's having his first meeting with Mina, and Anthony Hopkins is there, and it's like he goes from like the hot sexy guy on the bed, doing his like Jeff Goldblum, kind of thing, and then all of a sudden he's a fucking bat monster, and it's like what the shit.
Yep.
And then I love this scene, and then of course sets the cross on fire. Oh, I'm not afraid of your fucking God. Fuck you, motherfucker. And then disappears, and then kind of like backs up, does that whole sweep back up into the shadows, and then he's rats. I was like,
yeah.
Yep. That
There's a lot of good stuff in that movie. Really,
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fantastic stuff.
But what I want to do is I really want to ask the audience, and we've talked about Dracula a lot tonight. So I want to ask, what is your favorite Dracula film?
Dead and Loving It.
Dead and Loving It. Leslie Nielsen.
I myself have to go with the original Bela Lugosi performance. Universal's Dracula. He set the bar. Just Lugosi had a way about him, just a presence that just was just perfect for film. Just this whole how he kind of like entered a scene. Holy shit, dude! You just that kind of just presence.
Yeah, he brought the previous room with him when he came into the room.
Pretty much,
he really did. It was his energy was always fucking everything, every little move. He was it's as if he was trying to bring the room before him into the room with him now. That's how big he made everything. He was really, really good at it. God, really good presence. There was no mistaking Bela Lugosi presence whenever he was on. Whenever you're watching a film and boom, there he is, like fucking hell. He says, "You will fucking look at me, and everything I'm doing is important, and you're going to remember it." Such an amazing actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Commander Darklight, Blade 3. And he says JK, and that's a JK from Commander Darklight. That's fucking amazing. Oh, that's great. And the Jord says, and good to see you, and the Jord says, but at this point, vampires had also been sexualized by pop culture, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we were talking about the advent of Anne Rice's writings, bringing kind of the I'm dangerous in a sexy way, that whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't uncommon back then for vampires to be sexually appealing. It was true.
Well,
it was early 90s advent.
Even if you looking at Bram Stoker's, they were supposed to be sexually appealing, but not in a love story type of way. It was a flirtation with
they're attracting you in them because they're the spider lure. They're luring you in to victimize you.
Right.
Yeah, it appeals more to the lust part.
Right.
Of it.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
want you to lust after them, not in terms of falling in love.
Right.
Well, definitely let us know what your absolute favorite Dracula performance, even if it was the original Universal stuff, or if it was Dracula Dead and Loving It, Leslie Nielsen. Or, maybe Bram Stoker's Dracula. Maybe even you love Gerard Butler in Dracula 2000. I don't know. But let us know what your favorite Dracula film is down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. I'm probably going to get a shoe thrown at me by mentioning Jerry Butler in Dracula 2000.
Well, there is Dracula 3000 also in space.
There's also Dracula 3000. This is true.
So it's time for the
It is time for this is so cool. I've been looking forward to doing this. It's time. Everybody's been waiting for it. It's trivia time. And
Aaron Reese, I got to read this really quick. Aaron Reese says it's satanic syphilis.
So I want to show everybody, and like I said, we're you guys have been so amazing in supporting the show that we're starting to be able to up the quality of the things we're giving away. So
which is really hard to do because these fucking shirts are the tits. Okay.
This is true. Yeah, our shirts are fucking amazing. So we are giving away for this particular trivia question. For this particular trivia question, we are giving away
a big shiny box.
The Hammer Films 20 film box set. Hammer Films 20 film box set.
On Blu-ray.
Yes.
All of so many fucking movies. Great shit. Everything, Revenge of Frankenstein, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, These Are the Damned, The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll. Oh, fantastic stuff. We are giving away this Blu-ray box set of Hammer horror movies, 20 Hammer horror movies, to the winner of this trivia question tonight.
Yep. All right. Everybody get your Google fingers ready to go.
Flex them. Get ready.
Flex them. Not wax them, flex them. All right. Today's trivia question brought to you by J.L. Warren of Week in Horror Podcast. What year What year were Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing first cast together in a Hammer horror as Dracula on Von Helsing, respectively? One more time. What year were Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing first cast together in a Hammer horror as Dracula and Von Helsing, respectively?
Does anyone else ever get the compulsion after you ask the question second
To
time
do
to the Jeopardy theme? I get it every time, and I have to stop myself from doing it.
I know. I almost did it.
Remember, the first one that pops up in the chat with the correct answer.
Charlie Welch.
Charlie Welch.
Charlie Welch.
Charlie Welch gets it. There it is, baby. Congratulations to Charlie Welch.
Is correct.
1958 was the year that Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee were both cast together as Dracula and Van Helsing across from each other in a Hammer horror film. That was 1958. But there you go, bud. Charlie Welch, you have won the Blu-ray box set of Hammer horror films. Congratulations.
Aaron Reese, you were so close. Charlie
close.
Welch just got you in right beforehand.
And Keith Newton. Keith Newton. Yeah. I think Keith Newton just came in solely for the trivia. But Keith Newton, good to see you. And let's see. Yep, Charlie Welch got in there 1 minute before everybody else. So congratulations, Charlie Welch. You got it, bud. So, Charlie, I do believe I have your shipping information, and I will ship this to you, directly to you. And I will include one of these many stickers that we got for the Week in Horror Season 3 that I didn't get to give away at Texas Frightmare Weekend. I will throw one of these in there as well. They were supposed to be promo, for the when we were out at TFW. So I will throw in one of those.
We're going to be back in April, so save some.
We will. Yeah, it'll still be Season 3. So we're going to give some away then. But there you go. I'm going to throw in one of those as well. One of the promo stickers that we had made up for Season 3. It's Season 3 artwork, and you're good to go.
And also,
all right, for
our podcast listeners who are listening on whatever platform that you happen to be listening on, chime in YouTube 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and actually interact with us, and you too can have a chance to win the trivia question.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yes, I just wanted to point that out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks to our amazing Charlie Welch, 1858. 1858.
Wrote no last name. Charlie did not preference 19.
Sarcasm. Bomber dude says he was buffering. Damn, that
stupid
sucks.
Buffer.
That blows. Ariel wrote it no last name. Aaron Reese technically won. 58. I don't think Charlie Welch meant 1858. Just saying. 2058. We ain't there yet, so I think we're good to go. All right. So congratulations to Charlie Welch. We will get that shipped out to you as well, along with a Week in Horror promo sticker, because I have a lot of these, and I need.
How many do we have?
I have 2 packages of these motherfuckers.
All right. Yeah.
And we're gonna give them away eventually, but I have a lot. So.
We should get some more together. We should start sending them out. Like send us 50 cents, we'll send you a sticker. Boom.
No, Aaron Reese. Christopher Lee was a way older than I thought he was.
205 years old.
All right. So congratulations again to Charlie Welch for winning this week's trivia. I will get that shipped out to you ASAP, Charlie. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who jumped in there. So, man, oh man, that is going to bring another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening. We loved having you, and we truly hope that you enjoyed it. Join us next week when we look back at the extreme Beyond the Darkness, the Creeptacular Voodoo, the original Salem's Lot adaptation, and an entry to the first 8 films to die for Horror Fest, Wicked Little Things. We would like to send a huge shout out to our amazing patrons who have helped us make this show the success that it has become, to give away cool trivia prizes like that away. Thank you all so much. We couldn't do it without you. Be sure to check out Joshua Olsen's new store. Joshua Olsen does all of the amazing artwork for our limited edition t-shirts, our cover work for our seasons. He has amazing designs over at badsamurai.store. Badsamurai.store. Check out his cool stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff over there that you guys will love. The Ghost, the King of the Dead from Lord of the Rings shirt. This is my favorite. I think the thing is amazing. But he comes up with new shit all the time. So definitely go over there and check it out. badsamurai.store. Now you can visit us at weekinhorror.net, where you can find links to all of our episodes, our bios, our merch store at Teespring, and of course, enter your email for a permanent entry to win a mystery horror shirt every month, courtesy of $6shirts.com. One day, they will recognize that we are plugging the shit out of them. For more horror entertainment, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Followers get our daily splatter, a bit of horror movie info every day right to your feed. Please like, subscribe, and one-shot that bell like Jason Voorhees in a boxing match for all the latest updates from the show. And be sure to leave us a comment below. Those interactions really help us with the dreaded algorithm, the only true villain there is. And lastly, if you truly love what we do here and you would like and are able to support our production, you can through our Patreon. We have subscriber tiers as low as $1, bonus and exclusive content, and horror films every month for our higher tiers. However, if you'd prefer, you can support the show through our PayPal as well. Links to all of this, including our Discord community, where you can find film recommendations, trailers for the movies we talk about, trivia games, horror watch parties, and even interact directly with us, are all in the description below. And as always, commenting, liking, sharing this show with the friends in your local horror community is the absolute best way to help us continue to grow. Thank you all so much for being the greatest fucking audience a podcast could possibly have. I am JL.
And I'm Eugene.
I'm Johnny Fat Guy.
We will see you all next week when we roast up Johnny for the Thanksgiving season. And as always, stay scared. Did you like that? We're gonna eat him.
Oh, Jesus.